Yeah, it's like an Astro Pop or something, yeah. You're gonna be crying, aren't you? Me too. I can see my grandma.
What is it, butterscotch?
With the coffee pot? Yeah. And they have the wax.
I hope I got these phones turned off.
Yeah, my wife eyes are others.
I'm trying to do it. We old.
Yeah.
And Frank will say, he's not
I don't know. Maybe a few, but
I'm still letting your Latin back.
Sometimes you just gotta.
Good. I literally buy them 2 at a time.
Yeah, oh, yes, sir.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
You're still here?
Yeah. All right, let's get the meeting started. Thank you all for coming tonight. Miss Quincy, if I could get you to do the invocation.
Dear Lord, thank you for bringing us here to do the business of the county. We pray for all of our first responders and all of our public safety people and the citizens that we serve. We thank you for giving us the opportunity to do this, and it's in your name we pray. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, let's get started. Can I get a motion for approval of the agenda?
Mr. Chairman, there's
Yes, ma'am.
tab 17, which is on your consent agenda, is being pulled.
Okay.
It'll be brought back at a future date in some form.
Okay, 17's pulled.
And I would like to pull number 9 for discussion.
Pull number 9 for discussion. All right. Where do you want to, we got it down, you want to move it to?
No, just whenever you get to the consent.
Okay. All right, so we pulled number 9 for discussion. And can I get a motion for the consent with those? All right, I have a motion. Have a second?
Second.
I have a second. All-
Vote for to approve the agenda, right?
Approve the agenda.
Approve the agenda.
Yep.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any nays? Passes 5-0. All right, citizens to be heard. Miss Lynette Compton? Loretta Compton, I'm sorry, that's 2 T's. Loretta Compton? Sorry about that.
sorry. Good evening, Commissioners. My name is Loretta Compton. I'm here tonight as a member of Wakulla County 4-H. Throughout my 7 years of being a part of 4-H, I've held multiple leadership positions, including President of Future Leaders of Wakulla and Vice President of County Council. This year, I'm a 4-H State Council and Executive Board member, and I'm running for the 4-H County Council President. Last Monday, Dr. Pianta and Ms. Christie and our wonderful volunteers organized the Team Leadership Summit. During this all-day event, the Wakulla youth received training in different aspects of being a leader, from adult life skills to personality analysis. We learned how to set the goals, why we need goals, and what are the criteria for goals, how to achieve these goals and being the leader of your life, how to be mindful, brave in tackling potential challenges and problems, how to balance the budget and save for the future, how to be camera and microphone ready at any time, how to recognize people's different personalities and apply this knowledge to communication skills, and much more. Under the leadership of Dr. Pianta and Ms. Christie, Wakulla 4-H organizes endless fun activities and provides us great opportunities to serve our community, whether it is to conduct road and coastal cleanups, to design posters in promoting the beauty of this county, to organize senior citizen prom parties and health events, to promote a healthy and responsible lifestyle among teens, to learn about life's adult skills, and handle responsibly everyday challenges, to receive training in leadership and apply them in serving our community, and by allowing me to serve as president of Future Leaders of Wakulla and vice president of county council last year, and by supporting my ambitions to run for president of 4-H County Council this year. All these activities provide the so much needed push for our youth to be better, stronger, and wiser. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Miss Tammy Burnseed.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Miss Tammy.
I'm hoping that y'all can help me with a little problem I have. My neighbors and I have another neighbor who has decided to make a junkyard in his yard. And if you just scan through, I'm sorry, I don't have pictures. I scanned these pictures today. But I know that the information that I have shows that the last time property taxes was paid, I may be wrong, but this is what I believe to be right, is in '22, and it was for $4,000. The property, according to the property appraisers, is valued at $65,000. I know that there's been other people that have called and reported this and asked for cleanup. It's kind of going over into the neighbor's yard, and occasionally they'll get with it and clean up. But can y'all tell me what else I can do with this property? I came in on Saturday night at midnight, and the two people that are living there she is screaming, and then he's yelling, and I don't know if there was a beating going on. I did call 911, but we didn't get an officer. I need Wakulla and Leon County, because when you come out of the drive, cross over the bike trail, it's Leon County. So I was unsuccessful there, but they live there with no power and no water. So can y'all help me?
Have you reached out to code enforcement at all with us?
I have called and I have put a complaint in. I have called them today and asked them to call me back because I wanted to know how many other people had called and complained. So can y'all tell me what I can do? Because right now, as it is, it's just the property value is just going down. And they have garbage cans out there today for the first time next to the road. I'm like, well, if they're not paying their taxes, how come we got garbage being picked up?
Well,
It would take a tractor majorly. There's a mobile home. The officers don't even go in there now. They stand out on the bike trail and they yell for them. They told my sister that if you think the outside is bad, you should see the inside. But they're not living in the mobile home. They're living in a camper.
yes, ma'am. Miss Summer, could you take her information and follow up with her, please?
Yeah, absolutely. If you want to put your contact information on your comment card.
Here you go.
We'll hold it to the side. and
Put your phone number on there as well.
Circle back with you in the morning.
Good. Thank you.
Yeah, it's on there. Thank you, ma'am.
Chair, I got a question for Summer.
Miss Summer,
So if there are multiple accusations, does she need to make a complaint on each one?
So what we run into a lot of times is even if a complaint is filed, we take it through the code enforcement process. We take it to the code board. Liens start accruing daily. We may continue to receive complaints on a property, which this isn't a familiar address, so I'm pretty sure we have a lien on it already. you can lead a horse to water. Sometimes, unfortunately, you can't make it drink, and getting the property cleaned up can be a battle. But I'll take a look at this and see where we're at and follow up with Ms. Tammy tomorrow.
So just to follow up, if she makes a complaint that there's junk out there, but not a complaint that there's, living in a home with no power, does she need to make a complaint for each of those?
No. When we visit a site for a code enforcement complaint, anything that we can observe from the right-of-way, we will cite.
Thank you.
All right, we're going to move forward. She'll be following up with you, Ms. Tom. All right. Proclamation honoring Joseph Williams. Can I get a motion?
Motion to approve.
I have a motion.
Second.
I have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any nays? All right, motion passes 5-0. All right, so Mr. Joseph Williams is a pretty special veteran. To my knowledge, he is the last living veteran from the World War II era from Wakulla County. Mr. Joseph, you are 106 years old, correct? God bless you. God bless you. Can you tell me what you're eating and drinking? Yes, sir. All right, I'm going to read this. Whereas Mr. Joseph Williams, as a proud son of Wakulla County, Florida, answered the call of duty during World War II, demonstrating courage, sacrifice, and unyielding dedication in defense of freedom and democracy. And whereas he stands today as a last living World War II veteran from Wakulla County, representing a generation of American heroes who risked everything to secure liberty for future generations. And whereas throughout his 106 years of life, Joseph Williams has been a source of inspiration through his service, perseverance, and devotion to family, community, and country. And whereas his legacy reminds us of the immense sacrifices made by those who served during World War II and the tremendous debt of gratitude this nation owes them. And whereas it is fitting and proper that Wakulla County pause to recognize and celebrate the extraordinary life and service of Joseph Williams, now therefore be it proclaimed that the Wakulla County Board of County Commissioners hereby honors and commends Joe Williams, the last living World War II veteran from our county, for his unselfish service to the United States of America and for his lasting impact upon our community. We extend deepest gratitude and admiration to Joe Williams, declaring this day in his honor, passed and duly appointed in regular session this 20th day of October, Board of County Commissioners of Wakulla County, Florida. Fred Nichols, Chairman. Can we get Mr. Joseph to come up and we can get a picture with him?
We should just go to him probably.
Well,
I think so.
Well, he can move on his walker now.
Oh, make it easy on him.
Right over here, Mr. Joseph. Right over here. Hang on, I'm gonna turn you. Right over here. Hang on this. There you go.
Mr. Williams, you were Navy, right? Yeah. Must have been that Navy child.
Come on over here, Mr. Joseph.
I was Navy as well.
Follow me. All right, everyone, smile. A couple more, then we'll get a couple more from the news.
Fred, you want to check them out that door?
We'll be right back.
Can I get one more round of applause? 106 years old. Announcement of Wakulla County Employee of the Third Quarter.
Good evening, Commissioners, staff, and citizens. I'm Jennifer Hoffman. I'm the HR Director for the Wakulla County BOCC, and it is my honor and privilege today to announce our Q3 Employee of the Quarter. The Employee of the Quarter highlights one employee who regularly exceeds expectations, shows initiative, is responsive, loyal, and dedicated to their department and Wakulla County. The Employee of the Quarter for the July through September time period is Ms. Rebecca Sahar, Senior Library Specialist 2 in our Library Department. Rebecca has been employed by the Board of County Commissioners for just over 2 years and is being recognized for her over and above work efforts. Rebecca has handled numerous situations at the library respectively and effectively. Rebecca can always be called upon when needed and is willing to step in and complete any task asked of her in a timely manner. Rebecca continues to grow in her knowledge of her position and is effectively growing the library's literary collection. Rebecca is a wonderful asset to the library staff, and we are pleased to recognize her as our Q3 Employee of the Quarter. Here to present Rebecca with her award is Miss Linda Oakes, Library Department Director.
Yes, you do.
You want us to stand? We probably should stand.
Big smiles, everyone. One more.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Congratulations. All right,
So
we're
is that
moving.
2 or 10 years?
10.
That's
10 years.
All right, as we move into consent, you want me to, the discussion for number 9, do we hold it after our consent vote? Yes, ma'am. Okay, just making sure. All right.
Motion to approve.
Have a motion to approve holding number 9 for discussion. Need a second? Second. All right, have a second. All in favor?
aye.
Aye. Any nays? Passes 5-0. All right. Commissioner Thomas?
So number 9 is our funding request for our nonprofits, and obviously we've had this discussion several times, and I want to be consistent with what I'm doing here. No offense, but I just do not think that we should be giving the money to the Wild Mammal Association. They do a great job. I appreciate everything that they're doing, but I just don't think that we should be committing taxpayers' funds to that. I'm perfectly fine, everyone to disagree, but I've been consistent with that, so I wanted to stay consistent through the end. So what I'm going to do, I know we may have to handle this in 2 different motions, but my first motion would be to approve North Florida Medical, Capital Medical Society, Wakulla County Senior Citizen Council, and Keep Wakulla County Beautiful as listed. That's my motion.
Okay.
And we can approve that, and we can vote for the other one separately, or you can not approve the motion.
All right. So he's made a motion for that. Do I have a second? We don't have a second. All right.
And Kelly mentioned that at a previous board meeting, you already approved the agreement for the North Florida Medical, so that one has already been approved and taken care of, just for the record.
Okay. So, and just to make sure my understanding, so our nonprofits were not in our budget that we've already approved? They were, okay.
They were in the budget, yes.
So they're already approved.
The funding is in your budget. The actual contracts are what you're considering tonight to provide them with the funding.
Okay. All right. Well, we don't have a second there. All right. So be it.
Now we get to start over again and
Get
make
to
a
start.
motion to approve what's going on in there, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so we already have North Florida Medical, we already have the Keep Wakulla Beautiful, FWMA, and Wakulla Senior Citizens Council. So I make a motion to approve the nonprofit funding agreements for 25-26.
Okay.
As listed here. Second.
All right, I have a motion. I have a second. All in favor? Aye. Any nays? Nay. All right, passes 4-1. All right, we got that through with. Let's move on to general business. Request board acceptance of park programming and operation plan for recreation purposes prepared for by Pros Consulting.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Earlier this year, staff engaged Pros Consulting. We have Travis and Philip here this evening to present the programming and operations plan that they prepared as it relates to recreation and the services currently offered by the county. This is a diverse look at a number of different things, including the demographics and trends, the operational plan and utilization of the parks, and making some recommendations on how we improve our overall recreation service. So with that, I'll turn it over to Travis and Philip, and they can walk you through it.
Summer. Good evening, commissioners.
Good evening.
I'm Travis Strambarger from Pros Consulting. Here with my colleague.
Philip Harnan with Pros Consulting.
We appreciate the opportunity this evening to present our findings and recommendations for the programming and operations plan. We also appreciate the confidence of the county to enlist us to do this study. It was a pleasure to work with the commissioners as well as the staff over the last 6 months on this comprehensive plan that we hope provides a real course of action for some improvements and enhancements to the parks and recreation system within the county. So with that being said, I will hand it off to Philip to provide an overview of what our process entailed.
Thanks, Travis. So as part of this process, we began getting an understanding of the population within Wakulla County. The demographics and the recreational trends basically looked at the population, number of households, the age of the population, as well as race and ethnicity, income levels as well too. A second step was to take a look at the alternative provider analysis, and as part of that, we looked at fitness, youth sports, skill development, outdoor recreation, including golf and recreation programs, cultural arts events, and senior programming as well. And we'll go into a little bit more detail with each of these in some of the subsequent slides. We also looked at the current level of service. Now, what the level of service is it takes a look at the number of acres that you have, also takes a look at the park amenities, as well as the indoor square footage space that you have based upon your current population. And again, we'll go into the findings from that part here in just a couple of slides. We then took an opportunity to understand the utilization or the use within MedArt Park as well as the rec center, and wanted to determine by field or space, if you will, for the indoor courts, as well as by the number of hours that are utilized and the season in which they're utilized. And then from there, we took a look at the operations and maintenance, including what standards are in place for existing parks as well as MedArt MedArt Park, and then also looked at the organizational structure of recreation and parks, and then also looked at existing policies, procedures, and those resources that are available. So part of our findings for the demographics, we wanted to understand the population as it exists, but also take a look forward and see what the population might be, knowing that there is growth on the horizon. Moderate growth is what we had found over the next 5 to 10 years. We found an aging population trend that is actually in line with the U.S. Averages, and none of us have found out how to get any younger just yet. But we also found that because of that aging, a focus on multi-generational facilities and spaces would be important going forward. We also noticed that there was an above Florida average income, I should say, and that there are emerging families into the area, and so as youth are aging out, there are youth that are coming to replace them, and it's slightly fluctuating in that regard. What we found is that there's a real need for the county to provide these types of facilities and programs for the public, and to take care of what you already have while making sure that as the population grows, there's enough space for everybody to participate, and that keeping access affordable as possible is desired. When we took a look at the recreational trends as part of the analysis, we noticed that there's a national surge, but there's also a surge in Wakulla, and it's been happening since 2020 for outdoor recreation and fitness type activities. Locally, outdoor adventure is high with a strong potential for golf, swimming, and there is an increased individual spending on recreation and fitness equipment within the area. Also, the age segments have identified that senior programming and more recreation spaces are needed for all ages and abilities. As we took a look at the market, we did an expanded market analysis, so that's within the county, but also outside of the county, because we understand that there are facilities in close proximity that have been utilized as well for recreational opportunities and sports. We used a 2-hour radius to take a look at all of the recreation providers in that area and understand what's being offered by those locations and how much of that's impacting the residents of Wakulla. This included, just as an example, Panama City and Tallahassee as well, because we know that they have sports complexes that are utilized as well by people from Wakulla County. We did notice that there are gaps in service and limited opportunities within fitness and wellness, with golf and outdoor, with public general recreation, and in senior programs, meaning that there are some providers out there, but there are still some needs within the county that are not being met for affordable fitness, as well as golf programs and outdoor adventure type programs for youth. Also including limited indoor recreation spaces within close proximity, especially when you're considering the hub being the recreation center. And then senior programming, there's few senior focused fitness or recreation type programmings beyond, walking and fitness. Next, we took a look at the level of service analysis, and looking at what's on the slide, we found that there is a need for additional rectangular fields and ball diamonds. Current and future, based upon the population growth that we saw, we're seeing that at a minimum 2 more recreational fields and 2 more ball diamonds would be beneficial for the service. As far as outdoor amenities, there is a future and existing need within tennis and pickleball, playgrounds, skate park, splash pad, and the outdoor pool, outdoor swimming. From an indoor recreation space, we've identified Wakulla County currently meets the standard for indoor recreation and community space, however, shows a future need of an additional 2,554 square feet. Now, these needs are based on the population being served today and the amount of square footage or the number of fields that you have within the county proper, but shows that there's a need to increase as the population increases to keep that level of service the same so that the quality of life doesn't necessarily decrease based on population and increased use that is likely to come with the additional population in the county. The level of service also took into consideration current comprehensive plan as well as inventory, including other public recreation providers that we found from the market analysis. And these metrics that we're talking about for, let's say, the number of acres per 1,000 people, as well as the amount of square footage per capita, comes from NRPA metrics, which is the National Recreation and Parks Association metrics, and they're based on a population of 20 to 50,000, which is right in line with where Wakulla finds itself today. For any areas that Wakulla exceeded the NRPA metrics, the recommended level of service is Wakulla's current level of service. And for any areas where those metrics were not met, again, we took into account the population and jurisdiction, but we also took into account what was within the existing comp plan. Currently, this is not necessarily meaning the level of service that we're talking about. Currently, that is not in concert with what's in the comp plan, and at some point, that should look to be updated. And with that, I'll hand it back to Travis.
Thank you. So as Philip mentioned, part of our work also included a space utilization analysis. And so in more simpler terms, that is understanding how facilities are being used, and where opportunities are for additional usage. And so this analysis focused mostly on Med-Art Recreation Park and the Community Center Gymnasium. And so typically how we approach this is we rely on as much data as possible that can be provided from staff on usage. And I will say staff was very forthcoming with data as far as what's tracked, and that helped produce a better space use analysis. And so on the screen you see Med-Art Recreation Park and the baseball softball fields, and each field listed individually. We have established as a best practice 600 total annual hours of usage for natural grass fields. And why we've come to that number is understanding that natural grass requires recovery periods. And so that 600 hours is what we've found over our years of experience as far as what natural grass can handle in this region from work with other clients in the southeast region. And so we established 600 hours as the best practice maximum annual use hours for the ball diamonds, baseball and softball, and then put that up against how many total hours the fields are used for practice and game play. And you can see there is opportunity for additional field usage based on this analysis. Field number 2 does see the highest annual use because there is an agreement with Wakulla Christian High School softball, and so they are out there more often for practices, and they do have more games than your traditional recreation league does. We also recommend with field usage a 70% max capacity. So out of that 600 hours, achieving really no more than that 70% use capacity, because once you start getting up to that 100% use, you start to see more user conflict. You start to see less recovery period of the fields, causing more issues with maintenance and league game practice management going forward. So we also took a look at the rectangular fields out at Med-Art Recreation Park using the same methodology, the same benchmark for maximum annual hours. And you can see on your screen, both fields achieved just over a quarter of the maximum hours on an annual basis, again, for practice and game play. And so this really largely includes soccer and football at this point. And I should mention, we did take into account with the ball diamonds soccer and football usage as well, especially in the outfield area. And then lastly, we took a look at the community center gym usage. And so this one is a little bit different as far as best practice maximum annual hours, but we did stick with the 70% usage benchmark, because again, even for indoor facilities, once you start getting to that, closer to that 100% usage, and you have user conflicts, less recovery time for maintenance issues that do pop up even indoors, and it just administratively becomes more of a burden to manage. And so sticking with that 70% usage, we did discover that there is approximately 17 hours per week that's still available for programming use for the facility in its current state. So about 832 hours available in a year. And so this is good for staff to know going forward to allow for better program planning. They can start to understand peak usage times with the gym. So, for instance, it's likely early evening when school lets out is probably going to be during the weekday peak time. And then on Saturday mornings, likely. That's similar to what we found with the ball diamonds and rectangular field usage as well. Additionally, part of our scope included looking at overall maintenance and operations. And so this is where, our primary focus was on MedArt Recreation Park and the Community Center gym, but there were some findings elsewhere in the department, and we see an opportunity to bring everything together for consistency purposes. And so one of our recommendations is updating and developing standard operating procedures. The park side has a foundation for park management, some best practices as far as maintenance management, start of a computerized maintenance management system. So we're recommending those practices be carried over to the community center gym as well as MedArt Recreation Park wherever possible. We're also recommending a transition to a functional organizational structure. And what that means essentially is in the word functional, creating within overall administration that oversees a Parks and Recreation department, but has specific functions assigned different teams within the department. It does create more efficiency in that administration is overseeing the standard operating procedures, the systems that are put in place, creates more consistency with work scheduling, but it also provides an opportunity to identify where the department may fall short as far as labor hours needed for specific functions. One area that we looked at was total FTEs. So currently Wakulla has 11.95 FTEs for Parks and Recreation Management. This actually falls below the national lower quartile for community your size, similar size jurisdictions. That measurement is at 18.3 FTE. So you're about 6 FTE short from the lower average. As I mentioned, the structure should have a centralized administration for Parks and Recreation to operate under consistent standards and procedures, and then identify within that FTE gap where the labor can be more directed, whether that's maintenance, whether that's recreation programming, or administration. Oftentimes, the general public doesn't fully understand the amount of administration that's required for youth sports. And so that's one area that we noticed improvements or enhancements could be made, especially with the technology that's used and other components that help with the user experience, the customer experience. In fact, we're recommending essentially a customer journey map that tracks from the point of making a decision to purchase or register for a service through registration, participation, and an evaluation afterwards. Track where the bottlenecks might be with the registration process, and that will help inform how you improve the registration software, the recreation management registration software. And then we also recommend an increase in the operating budget. So, in order to increase the standards at MedArt Recreation Park, at the community center gym, that will require a sustained increase in operational funds. And what we mean by operational funds is not necessarily capital, especially major capital. It's more for the labor, the supplies, the services that go into managing the day-to-day operations of the park system. And we should also mention too that the golf operation was not included in this FTE or financial analysis that was left separate for this study's purpose. And then lastly, creating a public engagement strategy for operational and capital decisions. So we advocate for transparency fairness wherever possible, when policy decisions are made. We understand there are some significant changes that are being recommended potentially to the organization and how things currently operate in the parks. And it's important to map out a way to involve the key stakeholders early on in the process, to not necessarily bring everyone on board with the change, but educate individuals on why the change is being made and how the county sees this benefiting the park system and the residents long term. So that really was the findings. That was the bulk of our work on the front half of the plan. And then we have spent the last couple of months with staff mapping out an action plan. So, you know, here's what the data told us. Here's what we're seeing. How can you realistically implement some of these recommendations? And so what we have done is come up with a short-term set of strategies as well as long-term set of strategies for specific key focus areas. So what you see on your screen here are short-term space use strategies. I won't read them word for word, just picking out a few. But I will say, you know, the park system, the parks did not necessarily end up this way overnight, and so it will take time to implement some of these strategies, and that's why we believe it's important to map out some short-term strategies to develop some quick wins that can help with momentum, help build the foundation for some of the longer-term strategies. And so one of them that we're recommending is encouraging greater use of non-prime times. And so out of the space use analysis, we found that there is considerable availability of fields during the non-prime times. And we understand that there are many other things going on in the community, going on within a household's daily life, that may prevent some individuals from participating during these times. However, there are opportunities. And so is there a way to rotate schedules so not one league or not one team always has to practice on Friday nights? Maybe they practice one Friday night a season, but still use the fields on Friday nights because there is that availability, and that helps eliminate some of the conflict that we do see, especially during the spring season, during the prime times. And that also goes for Saturday later in the day, and then Sundays we basically see that the usage is pretty well non-existent out at the recreation park. And so how can the county help promote more usage during these non-prime times? We also advocate for shared use opportunities, specifically for practices. So one chain of thought is to have Mid-Art Recreation Park just be for games only, and find additional space, whether that be leveraging space that the county currently has, working with the school corporation, or working with private or nonprofit partners in the community to find public open space. We often see in other communities that we work with, youth sports associations use religious institutions, churches, they use housing associations, they use open fields wherever they can find it for practices, and that helps alleviate some of the pressure on Mid-Art Recreation Park and some of the conflict that could potentially occur, especially for practices during prime times. Some long-term strategies. So when we started the process, we were given the concept of the community center site, the park, and there is opportunity for additional rectangular fields on that site, and so we're recommending exploring and entering further into the design process to understand how 4 rectangular fields could be housed on the community center site. Those could be for soccer, football, other multi-uses, recreation uses, open space, and so long-term designing that space to house additional multi-use fields. We also looked at the governance and management structure of youth sports in general. And so essentially we're highlighting two types of models. One is to evaluate options for the county to assume full management of youth sports for consistency purposes. We understand that that will come with additional labor requirements. Additional operational funding would be needed for this option. But again, it would promote consistency throughout all of the youth sports under standard operating procedures, policies, and overall oversight by Parks and Recreation staff, including maintenance responsibilities. The other option that we have come up with is to explore an opportunity for a nonprofit youth sports organization to be formed. We have worked with several other communities across the country that have had a similar stance to youth sports, where the Parks and Recreation providers are just providing the facilities. They don't necessarily get involved in the management of youth sports. And Wakulla County is currently in that state where you have youth sports associations that are successfully running, for the most part, on their own right now. You are essentially an indirect provider, a space provider for these youth sports. I understand the county does also run some leagues in-house as well. So this nonprofit youth sports organization could see some efficiencies by having an overall governing board with representation from the various sports and also the county, which could streamline things like fundraising and sponsorship solicitation. It could streamline policies, scheduling. So there are several models that we've committed to providing staff to use as an example for this governing structure. Moving on to financial strategies. So short term, as we mentioned, we recommend that the county take a fair, transparent approach to user fees. We understand that this has been discussed at length over the last couple of years. And oftentimes when a community is struggling to establish consistency with fees, we recommend a pricing policy that is driven by the governing board, in this case the commissioners, to establish pricing strategies for various services. And that would include youth sports, but it could also include facility rentals from the park system. The pricing policy also builds in opportunities for fee increases based on the cost of doing business. The pricing policy helps establish a true cost of service and defines cost recovery expectations as well, which is essential for driving user fees, especially for individualized services. We also recommend updating the contracts and agreements with partners, including the youth sports associations, to include specific performance standards and more consistent operational terms and conditions. So one thing that we found is there is essentially a template that the county currently has for agreements, but there's more meat on the bone that could be had as far as the agreements being measure driven, especially with partners. And it's important for the county to consider that the partnerships, the agreements need to be as equitable as possible in the exchange of services. And so oftentimes local municipalities get into the habit of developing agreements that are lopsided and can be a unnecessary drain on resources. So exploring the contracts and agreements that are already in place to identify where these consistent operational terms and conditions can be developed. We're also recommending that the county create a life cycle replacement plan for all facilities, amenities, equipment, and infrastructure. And so this is where we talk about where our scope focused on the recreation park and the gym. There are opportunities to bring over some best practices like consistent use of materials in the parks and mapping out replacement plans in the operational budget to ensure that the necessary funding is in place to keep the amenities and the overall user experience at a high level, the level that's established as far as the level of care for the county. Long-term financially, of course, developing a long-term funding plan. So the county does have a capital improvement plan currently in place within the comprehensive plan. We're requesting that this is taken essentially a step further to identify diversified funding strategies. And so in the plan, we include several funding strategies that include not only user fees, facility rental fees, but also funding from corporate sponsorships. There is opportunities for grant funding. There are also opportunities for capital funding in certain situations. And so identifying the specific funding strategy that will be, or strategies that will be attached to those capital improvements will be important going forward. And then we are recommending an increase over the next 3 to 4 years for the operating budget. Per capita currently is at $45.67. We're recommending increasing that to $60 per capita. And again, this is just for operational. This doesn't include capital funding, especially major capital, nor does it include funding for golf operations. I should also note that that $60 per capita is still well below the lower quartile for operational funding per capita for communities similar to your size. Then moving on to operational strategies. So essentially, I mentioned earlier, creating a functional organizational chart, mapping out a staffing plan over 5 years. Again, similar to capital improvements, mapping out so once you create that functional organizational chart, map out where the shortfalls are in labor and how those will be funded over the course of the next 5 years. We mentioned earlier identifying improvements to technology to improve customer service and automation. That also helps build capacity with an organization. So we mentioned youth sports takes a lot of administration work. So are there opportunities to automate the process starting at the point of league registration? There are softwares out there that would be appropriate to explore to add into your operations that help with that process. And take it all the way through scheduling games and practices once someone registers for a league. And then formalizing partnerships for programming, sponsorships, and volunteers. Another way to build capacity. You all have a pretty strong volunteer base currently with the Youth Sports Association, so figuring out how to continue to maximize that will certainly be key. And then lastly, long-term operationally, continue those investments in technology, equipment, and amenities that align with the standards that you establish for all facilities. So bringing everything under that one umbrella and then continuing to map out the operational funding needed to maintain those standards and level of care. And then also we're recommending, as the level of service detailed, the need for additional fields. Is there an opportunity to work with the school district to maybe acquire currently unused school property that could house some sort of recreation use, including those multi-use fields? So I'll ask Phil, do you have anything else?
No, maybe just for the public to define what FTE is that we've been speaking about. Those are full-time equivalents, essentially staff that are working or being paid for 2,080 hours, but obviously there's vacation days in there, so we refer to those as FTEs.
So again, thank you for the opportunity to work with the county on this study. There is a lot to build off of, a lot of positive to build off of. I think you have a fantastic community. We think you have a fantastic community that's involved and willing to roll up your sleeves and make the necessary improvements to the Parks and Recreation Services. So with that, we will open it up to any questions from the commissioners.
Go ahead. I believe I heard you say that we're 6.5 FTE short, and so that's a little bit over 50% of what we have right now. Is that assuming if the county does the management instead of having the outside group manage all the recreation facilities or activities?
Oh yeah, that's a great question. So some of it is, especially on the recreation side, but we do understand if the park system grows, if you add additional amenities, maybe expand the community center gym, or develop out the rest of that site, that there will be additional maintenance labor that would be needed as well. And part of the functional organizational structure is adding more administrative support for something like league registration, league management. So yeah, the recreation side is definitely where we see the most need if you would take league management mostly in-house.
But if the association managed all that, it'd be some lesser number, but still would be more because we're adding more facilities.
More than likely. Now, there, as Philip had highlighted early on, there are additional programming opportunities for the county, including outdoor adventure, senior-focused activities, so that would come with additional staffing needs as well. So, you know, youth sports is basically one component of the overall recreation programming picture for the county. And so depending on the types of services that are added outside of youth sports, there could still be a need for recreation staff on that.
Great, thank you.
May I ask?
Yes, ma'am.
So with regard to the study, you looked at the community center and the rec park. And the community center was the place that you found that we could possibly have the extra fields.
Yes, the rectangular fields primarily. Yep.
Okay. And I do have a question for staff with regard to what does that look like? I think there's a misconception about what recreation is and what parks and facilities is. Could you like break that down in about 2 seconds for everyone so there's not any confusion about that?
Yes, historically and most traditionally, parks and recreation are one department or division of the county that serves both the parks and the recreation components. Sometime back, the county made a strategic decision to split the parks away from recreation and manage those two separately, which is how it stands today. As recommended in this plan is to recombine parks and recreation back to the more traditional sense. And even before receiving this recommendation, staff has already started making progress towards that by segregating the grounds department from parks and facilities and placing that back under the recreation umbrella as just a baby step towards that ultimate end goal.
And so to piggyback off of Commissioner Thomas's, the additional FTEs, and I know that you don't have any kind of crystal ball out there. What can you talk to me about the FTEs and the association boards and whether or not an association board or a more conglomerate board, would that replace the park rec board at some time, or is that something we could explore?
I think that's definitely an option that we could explore if the board chooses to go to a more comprehensive association program. We could look at kind of rolling in the Parks Advisory along with the Recreation Advisory Board to create one whole organization.
Okay, thank you.
Anything? Anything? We were talking about grants earlier. We have our grant folks are wonderful. But what we're finding is our active recreation, there's not a lot of active recreation grants. Most of them are for walking, biking, that type of thing. Are you guys experiencing the same thing in other places when people talk about grants?
Go ahead. Yeah, so grants is a touchy subject because it's rather volatile right now. Long term, we definitely do not advocate for reliance on grants, especially for operations. Grants can be very beneficial for capital improvements.
Well, that's what I meant, but new fields.
Yeah, so as we detail in the plan with grants, it's mapping out a plan before you apply for that grant. How is that going to be funded operationally? You know, what does that look like as far as staffing requirements, supplies, services, and those type of needs? So if you do get that capital funding through a grant, you can sustain those fields into the future. But especially right now, you know, we don't know what next year or 2 years, 5 years brings as far as, you know, federal or even state grants at this point, especially specifically for recreation. But we do I think your point is correct. Right now we're seeing most of the grants geared toward items that relate to overall community infrastructure. And so trails, connectivity through active transportation is primarily what's still being funded. Phil, I don't know if you want to add anything to that, what you've seen.
Yeah, so there are some foundational grants for baseball, and they typically come from the youth sports organizations that are chartered, whether that be Babe Ruth or Cal Ripken. So looking at those, they are matching grants, but really, overall, it's about making sure that what is available can be part of your overall funding strategy, not necessarily heavy reliance, but making sure that you do have the staff, time and availability for the reporting that comes along with those and the tracking of the use and things of that nature as well too. So it's really about a cost-benefit ratio analysis, real quick snapshot to understand, is this something that the county can go after and not overburden the staff and create a potential issue, but make sure that it's something that benefits the entire community and doesn't take as heavy of a lift.
Okay.
I do have one thing. I just want to make sure that I think I understand. This is just a study. We're voting to accept the study tonight. Everything in this study may or may not be put to use. It's a guide for us for the long term, right?
Right.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Just want to make sure I understood that correctly.
Make sure the citizens
And that
understand.
everybody else understands.
Yep.
That's all I've got.
Anything else? Thank you for coming.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you very much.
Travis, thank you, Philip.
Thank you, Travis. Thank you, Philip. Better luck on golf next time. You're welcome.
All right, moving on to number 20.
We need to vote.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
That's okay. I'm going to make a motion to accept the park programming and operations plan for recreation purposes prepared by Pros Consulting.
Second.
All right, got a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any nays? Passes 5-0. Number 20.
Good evening, Commissioners. This agenda item requests board approval of the Project Safety Design Criteria Professional Funding Agreement between Wakulla County and Point Blank Enterprises. The proposed agreement states that all costs associated with the design criteria professional are intended to be covered by the grant funding awarded to this project. Initially, the county will bear the cost of these and then will be reimbursed by grants funding. However, should the grant funding associated with the use of this design criteria professional be clawed back from any granting agency, Point Blank will be solely responsible for providing these reimbursements of these funds. Also included in the agreement is a requirement of for the parties to enter into an economic development incentive agreement or an EDI agreement. The agreement will set forth the terms and conditions related to how the property shall be acquired by the county and how the facility shall be designed, financed, constructed, operated, and leased to the company.
Motion to approve.
I have a motion.
Second.
I have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any nays? Oh, I'm sorry. I have to recuse myself from this one. I apologize. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, passes 4-0.
Mr. Chairman, if you could just state on the record the reason for your recusal.
I'm recusing myself because of the company I work for sells products that are made by Point Blank Enterprises. Public hearings? None. Planning and zoning?
This agenda item requests board approval to conduct the final public hearing and adopt a large-scale comprehensive plan map amendment to the Comprehensive Future Land Use Map CPM 25-02. This application requests adoption of a large-scale comprehensive plan map amendment to alter the future land use from agriculture to suburban transitioning on a parcel located at 562 Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Memorial Road, abutting the eastern boundary of the Mallard Pond subdivision and the southern boundary of the Eastgate subdivision. The subject property contains just under 50 acres. The application was transmitted to the required state agencies for review and no objections were received. The future land use designation for the subject property is agriculture, which permits density at 1 unit per 20 acres, and the proposed land use is suburban transitioning, which permits residential density at 5 units per acre. The property is currently designated as being in the A flood zone. Backroads Consulting completed a natural features inventory and wetlands delineation that concluded the property is comprised of roughly 43 acres of uplands and 4.8 acres of wetlands, and that no karst features were present. Furthermore, the subject property was reviewed by T.G. Ernest and Associates, and no cultural resources were documented on the site. The requested suburban transitioning land use would be consistent with the comprehensive plan and the vision for the Crawfordville Town Plan, and staff is recommending option 1 for approval.
Motion to approve.
Have a motion? Have a second? Real quick, we got a speaker. Mr. Wade Brown, you here just for?
Here for questions.
Yes, sir. Anybody got any questions for him?
I didn't hear the second.
It was Ralph.
Just a discussion.
You want to, okay.
Is there anybody that wants to speak on it?
Yes, well, we got Mr. Wade, and I was fixing to call out the next lady. Miss Kara Raher, R-A-H-E-R? Raker, okay. I'm sorry, it looks like an H. I apologize.
Good evening, Commissioners. I apologize. I am nervous. I will do my best to keep
You'll be fine.
my voice even. Okay, so my name is Kara Raker, and my family has lived in Wakulla County since 1830. For nearly 2 centuries, generations of Rakers have worked, farmed, and raised children on this land. Our roots run deep, and with that comes a deep respect for rural traditions and the natural beauty of what defines Wakulla County. It is with that perspective and a strong sense of responsibility to preserve that way of life that I am speaking to express my firm opposition to the proposed rezoning of 48 acres of agricultural land to what will probably become high-density residential use. Since the pandemic, the pace of rezoning and development in Wakulla has been staggering. Our small rural county, once known for its quiet beauty and tight-knit community, is becoming unrecognizable. Where we once greeted familiar faces in the grocery store, now we are seeing only strangers. Forests are being cleared, wildlife is being displaced, and our infrastructure is starting to strain under pressure it was never built to handle. This isn't just rezoning or another approval on the docket, it's a blow to Wakulla's character. It's another step toward overdevelopment, congestion, and environmental harm. We sit atop one of Florida's most important aquifers, and every acre that's paved increases runoff, pollution, and stress on our water systems. Our springs, rivers, and wildlife cannot speak up for themselves, but I'm going to do that tonight. Our roads are becoming overcrowded. Crawfordville Highway is a daily traffic jam. 98 is worn slap out. Accidents are increasing. Emergency response times are slowing. Schools and other services are also stretching thin. And for what benefit, I ask? More homes does not automatically mean more prosperity for existing residents. Many of us are seeing property taxes rise, housing costs are becoming out of reach, and longtime residents, especially seniors or individuals with fixed income, are being priced out of places they've called a home for decades. Wakulla used to be a refuge, a place people came to slow down, to raise families in peace, and to be close to nature. At this rate, if this is approved, that way of life will start to vanish before our eyes. The traffic, the noise, the loss of green space, it's not just inconvenient. It's absolutely soul-crushing for those of us who remember what this county used to be. We all understand that in the need for growth, but growth without balance is destruction. We need responsible planning, we need to limit the rezoning, and a commitment to preserve the identity of Wakulla, not just turn it into a sprawling suburb of Tallahassee. Tonight, I urge you to vote no on this rezoning. Please listen to your constituents, respect the will of the people who built this community. Let's pause, let's reassess, and let's prioritize preservation over profit. Because once, unfortunately, this land is gone, it is gone forever. Thank you.
Mr. Chair, I have a question for Wade Brown.
I couldn't hear you,
I
Ms.
said I have a question for Wade Brown.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
So this is the TCC Expo property, correct?
Yes, ma'am, that's correct.
And can you walk me through what could be on that property right now?
Okay, so the existing PUD development that's in place for the Expo, as a plan unit development allows 162,747.9 square foot of covered arena that would seat 4,346 people. Contains 272,468 square feet of vehicular use area, which is 629 parking spaces. 8,000 some odd square foot of sidewalk, 219,000 square foot of stormwater management facilities consisting of 11 different stormwater ponds. The traffic that would be generated by such a project basically is 412 PM peak hour trips per day. What we're proposing is a reduction in those trips to 133 trips per day, which is a reduction of 279 trips.
Okay. Thank you.
You good?
I have a follow-up. So I just want to be clear. So what you're saying is, as it sits today, someone could come in and build a facility like you just described with those trips and, what was it, 4,000 some people? And
Yep, so the seating, let's recap on that real quick. It could seat 4,346 people.
how much parking area?
That is basically 629 parking spaces.
So someone could come do that today without coming to this board for permission. That's already been approved.
That is a PUD in place.
Okay.
A plan unit development.
So what's being proposed here is it's a downgrading, something that's going to be less intrusive, less traffic, less covered area of that.
By all means.
Very good. And I'd like to point out a side note from that. Every years ago, I recall the county tried to buy that property, and our goal was to put a Parks and Recreation facility there. Funny that we just had this proposal here tonight, but that was our goal, is to put Parks and Recs there. Nothing against Robbie. Robbie got it, and we didn't compete with Robbie. It's just that the seller didn't want to sell it to the county at that time, and we tried, and so came back available, and Robbie bought it, and he's planning on downgrading what could be there.
Yeah, I mean, the actual earthwork was done, all the holding ponds are in place for what the expo was done. So it was planned for. Just never happened, but yes, this is a reduction, big time.
Very good. Thank you, sir.
Valerie, you got
Wade, do you have information on was it the residential needs analysis? Do you have that? That was done, I don't know, 2017 maybe? It was done several years ago.
Okay.
Saying there was, Kimley and Horn said that there was no more needed homes, I think until
I don't think it
35.
needs.
Well, it recommended, excuse me, it recommended that.
Brandon has the answer now.
Yes.
I would like to say that in that report too, they also mentioned that that needs analysis is based on market preference, which, as we're seeing with the current market, could be something that's needed. So that is something that's supposed to be taken into account with this. It's not just, everything was set for that time frame. You have to take into account the market preference as well.
And when was that study done? We paid for that study? I think it was
2017, I believe.
So Wade, I've got a question. I want to reiterate this so everybody in the audience understands and all the citizens understand that at this very moment, it's got a PUD on it where the traffic would be almost doubled.
Yes, sir. The PUD, we run the studies on it, the traffic studies, as if this was going to be built tomorrow, the PUD that's in effect. With today's traffic analysis, it would generate 412 PM peak hour trips if that PUD goes into effect, if it's built. That's what it's for today. Based on what we're proposing, even if you maxed it out, which would be a developer's dream, but in reality, you won't max it out when you put all the infrastructure in, roadways in, parking lots in, stormwater ponds in, you won't never max it. But if you do, that would generate 133 PM peak hour trips versus 412 PM peak hour trips.
It's a reduction of 279 trips.
And I just want to make sure that everybody, the citizens understand that it's in effect right now.
It's in effect.
So
That's the, yes,
Yeah.
it is.
Okay.
And Wade, in the application right there, am I correct that the elementary school level is under capacity by 465, the middle school level is under capacity by 394, and the high school level is under capacity by 378 provided to you from the school board?
That sounds correct, but I'll have to look at it to verify that.
And
Wade, does it have in there when the PUD was done? What year?
Let me see if I have it.
The PUD was adopted in 1997.
That PUD?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. If you want to talk, ma'am, if you'll come up and sign a card.
Yes, to answer your question, you're correct.
Okay.
You can fill it out, ma'am, after you talk if you want to.
Follow up, if you don't mind.
Yes, sir, go ahead.
So Wade, I heard Brandon say that it's in flood zone A. How much of the property is actually in flood zone A?
Look at my map. A good portion of it is, but however, through the development process, that will be rectified. Everything will be brought above base flood in the area we plan to develop. So that'd be part of the civil design when we come through, to elevate everything on site to take the structures out of the flood zone area. That's the plan.
So you're saying if this becomes residential properties, they wouldn't require flood insurance after you're done?
That is the plan.
Changing the base flood element?
That is the plan, yes, sir.
how many residential properties?
Well, if you do look at max of what we're looking at, which is what we have to do for the land use change. That's if you put a house on every little square inch of it, we're looking at about 216 units. But that will never happen when you start putting in infrastructure.
Any other questions for Mr. Wade?
Is there an estimate of how many people will move there? If you do however many buildings you want per acre, is it 700, 800, 900, 1,000?
I have no idea.
I have no idea, ma'am.
How many buildings can you get there?
At maximum density, there'd be 216 structures.
Realistically, with infrastructure, how many houses would it pan out to be in? I think it's what
Without a civil design, I couldn't answer that right now.
minimum 2 people per house-ish, 3? Some of them-
All right.
Don't know.
Any other questions for Mr. Wade? All right. Miss Jackie? Thank you, Wade.
I'd really like to know where you came up with those figures for the school being under capacity. Everybody you talk to, their kids are jammed into the schoolrooms. There's too many kids in the classrooms. You talk to the teachers, they say the same thing.
Kids are sitting on the floor of buses.
I'd like to know where you came up with those figures, that the schools are under capacity.
We get something from the school board, ma'am, that tells us the figures.
School board gives us the numbers, right?
Well, somehow I just...
Yeah, for comp plan amendments, the school board does provide us a capacity letter for the schools.
Yeah, go fill you out a card real quick. Or I'll tell you what, go ahead and speak, just give us your name and address, and then you can fill out your card.
My name's Brian Smith, and I live on 56 Griffin Road, and I also have another property on 39 Griffin Road, and I'm all for growth within reason, and that's what y'all are hopefully in charge of. The schools say they can handle it. I'm not here to contest that. Everybody came here at some point, and everywhere grows. That's just the facts of life. The more people come into the country, the more trees get cut down, but, we've always been that way. But all I hope for is Griffin Road, that it's not a thoroughfare to this new neighborhood. That's all I hope for. Because Griffin Road is a county road, but it's a school bus stop at the Shadeville and Griffin, and it's also a golf cart community, and right now it's a not very highly trafficked road, but if that were to become a thoroughfare into this new neighborhood, it's going to cause a lot of traffic.
Mr. Wade can answer that for us.
Yeah.
All right.
That's just my wish.
Yes, sir. If you would, fill out a card for
What
us.
we wish for.
If you would.
Guarantee. So if you're looking at the map right here, see the two fingers to the right, they front on Cager Posey Road.
Yes, sir.
They are both 60-foot wide. They were actually put there in place for traffic to enter this development, as well as, of course, we're on Martin Luther King too. So as part of our traffic study, we actually, plan to put probably 25%, if not more, onto Cager Posey. 75% will come out on Martin Luther.
And I knew that property was accepted to build a civic center a long time ago.
That's what we were talking about. PUD set up for.
I knew that, and, I don't know which one's better or worse, because, I don't have all the facts, but
I got you.
I'm one of those pro-growth people because it's kind of a good thing.
It will not interconnect
But not
through
a
that
crazy
neighborhood.
growth, but that's my opinion, but thank you.
You're welcome.
Appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Wade.
Yes, sir.
Robbie, you want to say anything? Or? Okay. All right, any other questions, commissioners? All right, we're going to vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any nays?
I'm going to say nay, just to be consistent.
Okay.
2 months ago with the residential survey.
All right, 4-1. All right. All right, now we're moving down commissioner agenda items. I've already done that one. It's completed. County attorney.
Nothing additional tonight, Mr. Chairman.
Oh, we got another citizen to be heard. No, that was the fellow that just talked.
Yeah.
Huh?
It was not, no.
It was not?
No.
Okay, I'm sorry. Hold on just a minute. Mr. Chris Smith?
Chad,
Or Chad Smith?
come on, Lord. And that was on what we just heard.
Yeah, the PUD.
Yes, sir. So basically, it's like this. I'm not a real professional person. I'm a blue-collar man. All right, the rate of growth in this county is ridiculous, okay? My daughter, these statistics y'all just spit out, for lack of better words, it's BS, all right? I've got to be at the bus stop at 6:10 in the morning because these buses are running 2 routes, all right? That's a big deal for a 13-year-old girl that's got a whole day at school ahead of her to get up at 5:30 in the morning to get ready to go to school, all right? Those statistics aren't right. I don't care what nobody's saying, okay? That's ridiculous for my 13-year-old daughter to be getting on a bus at Eastgate and Shadewell Highway at 6:10 in the morning, okay? Ridiculous. Furthermore, this place was Sportsman's Paradise. I've been born and raised here my whole life. All right, this 48 acres, that was hunting property. My daughter walks this property, she sees these gopher tortoises. What's gonna happen to the gopher tortoises? These are highly endangered tortoises. All right, they're just gonna die, we're gonna cover them up and put a big building on top, folks. There's more to it. That's what I'm saying. There's so much more to this than lining somebody's pocket up. This is our home. And I know there's some of y'all sitting on this bench that grew up here too. I used to do work for you, Ralph, at Hale Small Engine, long time ago. There's a big difference in the way things are done then and now. You know that. All right? You in particular should know that. You've been doing this for a while. All right? At a certain point, folks, we got to stop the growth. This 48 acres is going to affect me and my family considerably. Do I want brown water coming out of my pipes like Wakulla Gardens has right now with the great infrastructure we added? This ain't right. At a certain point, us, the taxpayers, need a word in this. At a certain point, somebody's got to have the balls to get sued and say no. All right? I'm trying to be as professional as I can, but this hurts inside. This is our home, folks. We got to stop the building. Growth is necessary. I understand that. We have to do that at a safe rate. Our roads are falling apart. Our high school's jam-packed. All right? This is dumb. When are we going to build our schools and then put in houses? Why are we putting in houses and then building schools? Wait, we never made it to the school part. You know what I mean? We have bus drivers needed. We have buses needed. We have infrastructure we need long before we start throwing up these houses everywhere. Y'all, this was my home. This don't look like home no more. You know what I mean?
Amen.
Sportsman's Paradise. What happened? What happened? Where did it go? Are we lining somebody's pockets? Is something foul going on somewhere? What's going on? Y'all, this is my home. This is my daughter's home. I raised 2 kids here. One just graduated Wakulla High School. That school's packed. I don't care what statistics say. All right? Packed to the gills.
My child has ridden in the middle of a bus aisle to get to school in the morning.
Yeah, you know.
We pay taxes to provide those things. Why is my child riding in an aisle? Why do I have to be there? Because they have to run 2 routes in the morning.
No protection.
Wakulla Springs is one of our biggest attractions. The beaches. All right? It's disappearing. The more buildings go up, Wakulla Springs is going to go to hell in a handbasket, folks.
Amen.
This is our life. This is y'all's life. Y'all live here too, right? This is all of our homes. Why are we destroying it? Us humans are the ones destroying this place. We got to stop. We got to back up a little bit, y'all. I'm not trying to get loud, but this hurts. I'm telling you.
You're good, man. You're good.
All right, this is our home. Valerie Russell, I know a lot of people that know you. Thank you, by the way, for a lot of things you do here. Ralph, you've done a lot of not so good. You've done a couple things good over the years. I'm just going to be honest. This is what I know. These are facts. I've been born and raised here. I know things. Okay? Am I going to come up here and cuss everybody out? No. Am I telling you this hurts in my heart to watch what's happening in our county? Yes. This is wrong. At a certain point, somebody slam the hammer down and get sued and say, no, let's not build this. Robbie Golden, man, builds a hell of a house. Do I want him to buy up this property and throw up this huge 216 units? No, that's ridiculous. We don't need that. Our schools are packed. You know what I mean? Del Taco, who needed that? Everybody likes Taco Bell better anyway. Come on, folks. We could have said no. Certain point, y'all get sued. Say no, please. It's for the better of the greater good. There are so many people right now that are born and raised in this county, taxpayers in this county their whole life, okay? Those folks are being run out of their homes because they can't afford to pay the taxes.
Amen.
Because of what we're doing around here.
Yes.
Y'all, we go to Tallahassee to make money. That's okay. I don't mind the drive. Can we get our county back at some point? Can we have a big sign that says Sportsman's Paradise back somewhere? You know what I mean? I ran dogs in these woods for 20 years. When my family split up, I went to steel hunting. I appreciate the Wakulla unit. I appreciate the St. Mark's Refuge. I buy a yearly pass to that refuge to support my county. I shop local to support my county. I don't go to Del Taco. I don't go to Starbucks. That's for a reason. Us, the people, are the ones that support these businesses. If we don't go, they don't thrive. I stand true. I'm one person. I am one family of 4 in this county. I can't do it all by myself. At a certain point, some people in chairs behind desks got to help us. Ralph, I know you've been here a long time. I worked on your stuff almost 20 years ago. All right? We need some help, man. Mr. Longhorn, I've seen you around. I don't personally know you, but I'm going to tell you. Y'all, we got to do this together. We can't do it. I can't do nothing. I'm nobody. I'm a blue-collar man that earns middle-class money. You know what I mean? I'm nobody. I'm not smart. I'm not educated. I fix stuff for a living. I'm really good at that. I fix things for a living. Okay? At a certain point, y'all got to help us. Please stop this. Slow this down some kind of way. Somebody stand up and say, no, we can't do this.
Yeah. I appreciate your passion. And we share it, okay? We share it, especially those of us that grew up here. There's a lot of things that changes that we don't like, okay? But one day, I think, you told me you had 2 children?
I do.
I think that one day you hope that she can stay here and have a house to live in.
And places and woods to hunt.
Okay, just follow me out.
I'm hearing you.
I have 3 children. I'm not blessed to have any of the 3 of them live here right now, and I wished all 3 of them lived here. And if they did, I'd hope they'd have a house and be welcome here. It's real easy for us to blame what we think is all the new people moving here. That's a part of the picture of why more houses are needed. But there's another part because all of us reproduce. All of us have children, and that adds to the population. Okay, that's the fact that gets missed all the time.
There's a safe growth rate.
I understand.
We can do this at, like building schools and then homes.
Okay, and I'd like to address the schools, and I appreciate that. But we got so much on our shoulders. I hope you can respect and understand.
I do, 100%.
We've got nothing to do with the schools. When they give us numbers, It's our job. We have to accept those numbers.
So how do we have that audited
Now-
for the truth?
Well, when you say we, you mean the public, because what I'd hope is if you've got serious concerns, you go raise them at the school board instead of raising them. I hear you, and I love you, and I respect what you're saying, but that's not our responsibility. We can't control it.
I understand you
When
weren't
they-
provided statistics, that's what you have to go on.
Absolutely, and when
You've now told me I need to aim that in a different direction. I will. I'll be on the phone tomorrow. I'll aim that differently.
And I don't know if the problem with the school is too many kids, they keep telling us no, or is not enough bus drivers and not enough buses. I don't know that problem. I wouldn't want my daughter getting up at 5:30 either. And all my kids are grown. And
mind you, she's 13 and she's expected to go a quarter mile from the house.
Yeah.
And sit next to a main highway.
We went through that. My wife and Pat Jones used to be like this right here over that bus drive. We love Miss Pat, okay? But we had those same issues, so I feel it, and I understand what you're saying. I just want you to place it where it belongs.
I understand what you're saying. So who's approving all these houses being built?
You need to understand what we pointed out tonight, that this is a downgrading of traffic. This is a downgrading of people.
What you told me is you're destroying 48 acres of Wakulla County woods. That's what you told me.
Those woods have been gone for 20-some years.
No, sir. I live right there. I see them every day. There's 48 acres of woods y'all finna take down. There's deer that live there. There's bear that live there. Over tortoise.
Hold on just a second.
Talking about where
Referring to the same place?
Yes, correct.
That property there is already.
It's clear cut.
And it's got holes all in it where they've dug it out. Are you talking about the same property?
My daughter still travels there nearly weekly to go walk through these woods.
I understand.
There's still woods all through there.
I understand. And
that's what I'm trying to keep.
And like Ralph said, I love your passion. But understand something, there's already a PUD that was voted on for there many.
Explain a PUD to me. What is that? Like I said, I'm ignorant.
It approves him to build. Go ahead, Ralph. I'm sorry.
It's a planned unit development. It's an outline that shows what can be there, the capacity that can be there, the traffic capacity that can hold. So what you heard Wade Brown explain tonight.
Yep, I was listening.
Is they've looked at.
That's Brown and Associates, correct?
That is. They've looked at that data. Now this was approved in 1997.
Right.
I was still on active duty in the Navy in 1997. I didn't have nothing to do with that.
Right.
But that was approved in 1997. What we're proving tonight is going to be a downgrading that will potentially drive less traffic. You're seeing these numbers here that said they can build 216 homes. That's if they fill every square inch and they don't run into. You heard that there's wetlands on the property, and you got setbacks, and you got infrastructure.
We're just going to fill in the wetlands.
No, I don't know. That all has to.
That's 100%. What I heard when Wade Brown was talking was we're just going to fill that in and make it not a flood zone anymore.
Let me catch you up with it. What we approved tonight is a comp plan change. They still have to come back with a site plan. Okay, we didn't approve a site plan.
Okay.
We didn't approve a single house to be built on that property tonight.
Mm-hmm.
They've got to come back with a site plan, and it's got to show how many homes it can have, whether or not there's wetlands, whether or not they're going to be dealing with the gophers, what the transportation is going to look like, where the traffic, stormwater ponds, infrastructure, everything. They've got to, and that's going to come back to another meeting and be approved. We didn't approve none of that tonight.
So you tell me, what does it take to disapprove a building being put up in Wakulla? Because it seems like they come across the desk, they get signed, and then they shipped out, we build them the next day. That's what it seems like.
Let me answer that question for you, sir. If you leave here tonight and you're on Highway 319 and the speed limit is 55 miles per hour, you have an expectation that you should be able to travel 55 miles per hour, right?
Sure.
If a Wakulla County deputy stops you and he says, sir, I was going 55. And he says, well, I really think it should be 45, so I'm going to write you a ticket. Your rights would be violated because you have an expectation that you can meet the rules that's in place. Well, property owners do too. As long as he can show that he's meeting the rules, he has an expectation of approval. If we deny him based on expectation of approval, we potentially get sued and we lose. When I say we, I mean you. I mean taxpayers lose.
At what point do you folks that live here in this county understand that building more housing without upgrading schooling is not going to work?
I thought we just explained that we don't control schooling.
I understand you don't control
that. You got to take that fight
from the other side, as you doing your job, when it comes across and you go, I live here, I know better, we don't need any more housing because our schools are packed. That's what I'm saying. You looking at your paper, but we're not seeing the whole picture. I understand.
We're chasing our tail on that.
We're not chasing our tail.
Because I've got nothing to do with schools.
I understand you don't have anything to do with schools, but at a certain point, y'all knowing, living here, y'all should understand our schools are packed. Why are we gonna keep them?
So you got 5 school board members.
From the man over there.
You got 5 school board members and you got a superintendent, 6 elected officials. And the 5 of us should say, no, you're not telling the truth. These are the real numbers. That's what you expect us to make a decision when
Let's do an actual audit and see what's going on. Because
well, do the audit. Do the audit.
This isn't adding up, folks. Why is my child got to catch the first early run on buses when there's 2 runs on buses? Is that a lack of space on the bus, or is that a lack of buses?
That's a question for school board.
I get that.
None of y'all have children in school or grandchildren in school? None of y'all?
We do, man.
And through it all.
So you're this is news to you tonight, that we are over capacity.
That's kind of what I'm getting at,
Your
folks.
grandchildren are completely comfortable.
I mean, we can play I got to go by my paper game, but knowing is knowing. Fact.
Hey, disprove it or hire a consultant to disprove it. All I'm saying is we're not the place for that. I'm not saying you're right or wrong.
Just throw money at it. Got you. That's not adding up. Look, at the end of the day.
Isn't that what you're asking us to do? You want us to overthrow the school board and we override them?
What I want y'all to do is stop throwing up buildings everywhere. And when the guys come across here that own these construction companies to buy this land, put up housing, we should stop some of that. I understand, you have a job to do. You have to look at stats, all this criteria to meet to be able to make the building. I get it.
But you understand, if he follows all the criteria, it's like us telling you what you can and can't do at your property. If he follows every step of the way what he's required by the state, by the county, by the federal government, if he follows all that criteria, we don't have the right to tell him.
How many of y'all drove down 319 in front of Hardee's in the store right there to get here today?
Mm-hmm. We all drive down 319.
Okay, so have any of y'all done any ball joints, A-arms, or wheel bearings because the potholes in the middle of that road right there from all the traffic that's through Crawfordville? Because
you need a phone number for state DOT because again, that's their responsibility.
It's over capacity. The whole county's over.
They're in the process of
listen, we respect your opinion. We respect your opinion. We need to move on. All right?
Y'all have a good night.
Hey,
you too, sir.
Please take my number. We'll talk until you get tired of talking.
You want to talk to me, Ralph?
I do. I promise you. I'll talk to you tonight. Just wait for me outside.
I just realized that. Thanks for hearing me out, folks.
Yes, sir.
Hopefully,
anytime.
There's a conscience and y'all listen.
Hey, you got way more than 3 minutes, and you can take all the time you want, and we'll talk. Me and you can call or face to face.
All right. County Administrator, we're moving on.
We haven't voted on this.
We already voted.
I'm just kidding. I know we voted on it.
It was 4-1.
I've been present this whole time. So I thought Ralph was actually going to go back off with the 55-mile-an-hour speed limit. You would get a ticket, right?
Yeah.
So you'd be breaking the law, right, if you were going over that?
Yeah.
So by us not following the law on these types of things, we're all breaking the law. And so there needs to be like some sort of planning and zoning workshop. Maybe Brandon could bring one of those back. It was very informative. And we don't have to do a workshop, Brandon. You could actually open it up to the public and they could come in and they could read the law and they could see what's going on here. So that's my 2 cents on it. Carry on, Chairman.
Yes, ma'am.
You're welcome.
All right. County Administrator.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. As the board is aware, the county administrator is currently under negotiations with BDI for the design build package for the Point Blank project over in Opportunity Park. Thus far, the negotiations have not gone exactly well. There's some hiccups and some disagreement in the terms currently. So Mr. Edwards has asked that the board go ahead and give approval tonight for the termination of the contract negotiation and approval to move forward with the second respondent to the RFQ in the event that terms cannot be agreed upon between the county and BDI for the design build package. Again, this will be a tentative approval that we seek that from the board this evening.
So do you need that in a motion?
Please.
I'll make a motion for, let's see, Heather's going to have to help me with the wording, for the county administrator to explore and move forward with the second.
So an appropriate motion would be to authorize the county administrator to terminate negotiations with BDI in the event that they cannot come to fair and reasonable terms and move on to the second place respondent.
What she said.
What she said. Okay.
And I'll second that and just make a comment that this was not an agenda item, so it will require a 5-0 vote.
Exactly.
If anybody has a problem with that, might want to speak up.
Yep.
Yeah.
Any questions? All in favor? Aye. Any nays? Passes 5-0.
Thank you. And then just one more announcement this evening. As the board will recall at the last meeting, you voted to move agendas for future board meetings to 6 p.m. That will begin at our next scheduled board meeting on November 3rd. Again, that starts at 6 p.m. So for the benefit of just a friendly reminder and a reminder to the public, 6 p.m. is the new start time, November 3rd. Thank you.
Thank you. Any citizens to be heard, Mr. Kinsey?
No, sir.
Okay, discussion issues by commissioners. Or if y'all are okay with this, I'm gonna start this one out. The first thing I'd like to do is I'd like to kind of get a head nod, if I could, from the other fellow commissioners. I would like for staff to start looking into the corporate sponsorship of some of our recreational, kind of like our splash pad. Seeing what it would take and what the regulations are on corporate sponsorships to help us with some of this stuff. Panama City Publix gave them over $500,000 in corporate sponsorship. So there is some stuff out there that we need to be looking into.
We'll be happy to look into that.
Okay, can I get it? I just kind of want to make sure the other commissioners are on board with it.
Hey, we'll always take free money.
Just
From a corporation, not from taxpayers.
Absolutely, absolutely. And the other thing I'd like to do is, and I'd like for our citizens to know this, we're working with Rick Meyer, and I'd like for staff to continue to work with Rick Meyer. There's 12 acres over at the Shadeville School over there that has some ball fields on it now as we move forward into our recreation stuff. And I would also like for our staff, I know Mr. Rick Meyer put it on the table to allow us to go into some negotiations with him and get on that and work towards that property up there behind River Sink. I would like to see us kind of move forward with that. I know that there's been a lot of hoopla about this property over on Ivan Church. On the internet and all that about, you got to remember, folks, that was done in 2013. I don't think was anybody on this board at that time. I was. He was? Okay. Well, that was in 2013. I'm going to be honest with you. I wouldn't feel comfortable putting a rec park there, and the reason for it is the traffic that you're going to pile up in front of Walmart trying to get in on Ivan Church.
Have you seen the traffic already?
I understand, ma'am. I totally agree, and that's what I'm talking about right now, the traffic there. So I would not be for that. I'm just putting that out there. And on top of that, I would really like for us to, and I know that you would have to come back to the board, but I'm not for messing with any U.S. forestry land either.
So I talked to county administrator this morning, and he's definitely already exploring those options. He mentioned those and even a couple other parcels that's available. So I think that's already on the table. And it's important to note that we have no proposal in front of us for the land swap right now.
No.
That has not come from the federal government. Someone on Facebook has ginned this up like they do on quite often and tried to make it an issue before it's even an issue. So we have nothing in front of us. We have no decision in front of us.
I understand.
To make.
Yeah, I've been on here a year, almost a year, and I haven't seen or heard anything about it till Facebook.
Right.
That's because there's this thing, it's called the AIP, and if you don't have a plan within the plan, then you don't get a plan.
Yeah, I saw it.
So that's what we just did.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, ma'am, if you.
I'd be happy to fill out a card.
Well, come on up and speak, real. I'm gonna give you a few minutes, ma'am. Come on up and speak.
I have to admit, I'm more than a little bit surprised for Mr. Thomas, for you to say this is all because of something on Facebook, ginning everything up. You've been involved with this since at least 2016. And all of these negotiations with the U.S. Forest Service have been done pretty much in secrecy. The public was never involved. The homeowners around this parcel have never been involved. We've never been consulted. No one asked us about any of this. And all of a sudden, it appears that we're hearing at county commission meetings that this is moving forward. Mr. Edwards had said that, oh, this is moving faster than we anticipated. That was only a couple meetings.
We've seen nothing. We've seen, nothing's been presented to us. No, what I mean, yes, we've talked about that for many years, but no one at the feds have agreed to do this or brought anything
Had a
forward.
study done of that parcel. You've spent taxpayer money on this. This is not just suddenly, blowing up. This thing has been in the works for years. And now suddenly it appears you're trying to bring it to completion.
No, ma'am.
And it's only because of the public becoming aware of what you're attempting to do here, and the same level of outrage that you saw throughout this state when they tried to build pickleball courts and baseball fields and what have you in the state parks, you're seeing now. The people here don't want this. They're tired of the development, number one, overdevelopment.
And that's
And now they're afraid you're going to move into the forest as well. You need to listen to the people. This needs to stop. And I applaud you for looking finally at the land that Mr. Meyer offered some time ago and was dismissed.
That's not how that went.
We didn't dismiss it, ma'am.
I need to, Mr. Chair, can I ask Summer a question, please? With regard to negotiations on this parcel, so am I correct that this was in the adopted infrastructure plan? There have been no negotiations per se. It has been going back and forth with regard to talking about this, but this is no different than a community pool, a splash pad, anything that's in that adopted infrastructure plan. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay, so any decision out of that adopted infrastructure plan would be publicly noted and come before this board for a final decision, or whomever is sitting here, correct?
That is correct.
Okay.
Well, if it's coming before the board for a final decision, then the public needs to be engaged. The public needs to know what's going on, and the public has a right to weigh in. They hadn't been invited to this table.
Because we have nothing that we're working on. We have no negotiations.
Mr. Edwards has been in active discussion.
I don't know what Mr. Edwards does.
I'm just trying to tell you that based on your own records that we've gotten from the county, you have had active discussions with the Forest Service. This isn't something I've just made up.
I didn't dare think that, ma'am. What I'm saying is that it has been in the adopted, but we've had this going on for quite some time. I'm not sure where the newness came up with. We were swapping, we were doing this, we were doing that. I personally have not seen anything about that. I can't speak for any other commissioner, so I don't know what's going on, but I have a pretty good idea.
Well, this is mainly because Mr. Edwards said this is moving along more quickly.
Okay.
So,
That's probably not what he meant, and I apologize if that's what he said, but,
what he said.
okay.
Yes, ma'am.
The public will definitely know.
A card for us? Yes, ma'am. Thank you. All right. Mr. Lawhon.
Nothing further.
Ms. Valerie.
all good.
Mr. Round.
All good.
Ms. Queen.
Nothing further.
All right.
Motion to adjourn.
I have a motion to adjourn.
How did I know that you were going with the, How else I knew that you were going with the tickets?
Because I'm consistent.
Exactly.
I like the way you never turn that.
You know what was happening, Josh? Every time I would put my phone back in the case, it turned the ringer back on.
You know that I'm not going to break the law. That's what you meant to say. That's what you meant to say.
Oh, yeah, I don't want them.
I'm just
I'm on my direction every time.
Oh, wait, you still have an office? Or did David kick you out of your office?
Not a county.
Exactly.
Have you ever had an office over there?
I have.
Yeah, we have.
I actually,
David doesn't want us in there because he doesn't know
I've given my office up at least 3 times that I know of.
That's 100%.
You know,
Right it is.
I had